Released by EA Tiburon in 2017 on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Madden NFL 18 would feature on its cover 7-time Super Bowl victor Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Written and directed by Michael Young, the game would also be the first time the American Football Simulator would utilize the Frostbite engine, as well as have a devoted story mode named Longshot. For story, the game features young quarterback Devin Wade as he attempts to make it into the National Football League. For gameplay, the game features 3 gameplay styles associated with increasing challenge: arcade, simulation, and competitive, on top of the Madden Ultimate Team mode. Longshot itself would be more of an interactive movie rather than full games with cutscenes in between. Target passing would give the player more control over attempted passes, refinements would be made to coaching, and user-created Madden Ultimate Team squads would allow 3 vs 3 online team play with friends. Dialogue choices and actions can result in one of 3 endings to the Longshot campaign, though only the ending leading to the sequel Longshot Homecoming will be covered here. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. As the game begins, we see a boy named Devin Wade playing some backyard football with his dad and his best friend and wide receiver, Colt Cruz, pretending to complete the Super Bowl winning pass for the Dallas Cowboys. 16 years later, Devin says farewell to his dad's memento jacket as he joins Colt to travel from their hometown of Mathis, Texas to Indianapolis to take part in the NFL Regional Combine. Colt's unshakable enthusiasm for their NFL future is as large as his passion for music as they make it to Indy just in time. To himself, Devin stays serious and focused as he reflects on his troubled performance at the University of Texas and later a car accident that claimed the life of his father. The next day, they are warned up front that though many will try, few will be selected, as scouts from all 32 NFL teams will be here to evaluate the prospective longshots. As Wade and Colt both work to qualify for the Super Regional Combine, Devin is approached afterwards by Ross Fountain, asking frankly if he'd like to be on TV. He elaborates the name of the show, Longshot, as how they would take an NFL hopeful like Devin, pair him with a Super Bowl winning coach for 6 weeks, and be drafted by an NFL team in the end. The assistant producer, Julia, admits Devin will likely be selected to advance to the Super Regional anyway, but insists he takes time to consider the opportunity they offer, despite aggressive pressure from Ross. On the ride home, they hear locals embroiled in their own opinions about student athletes on the radio, and irritated, Devin shuts it off, annoyed at how some people think they are entitled to judge others based on how they think others should behave. He then explains to Colt that a reality TV show is not the golden ticket Colt thinks it is, as it will invite a storm around him that he knows he doesn't want. Still, Colt is optimistic about this chance, but turning away, Devin reflects again on how 3 months after his father died, just 4 games into his career, he quit the Texas Longhorns. What resulted was a deluge of scornful criticism and online outrage from members of the Longhorns fanbase who all took Devin's choice as an insult, disregarding his personal reasons why. Though, he then remembers the high school freshman debut of himself and Colt, working together to reverse a massive deficit into a tie game and snatch victory to end his team's long losing streak. Recalling what glory felt like, he reconsiders the Longshot TV offer, encouraged by Colt again, and gives Julia a call back to accept. 2 weeks later, Devin prepares to go, and while Colt is happy for his friend, he's also happy to announce he's been selected to go to the next stage of the Super Regional Combine. Taking one last look at the display case his father set up for him to enshrine his first big win, Devin leaves his small town to take a big step forward for himself. Arriving, he is put on stage immediately by Ross, who also introduces coach Jack Ford, who reveals Longshot will actually pit 4 hopeful quarterbacks against each other for the chance of being a draftee. Julia and each of the players are shocked to learn Ross tricked all of them about this show, and as the show continues into its first elimination contest, Jack tells Ross he never agreed to this scheme. Though Devin dodges the cut through glorified carnival games in the first round, he shares his disappointment at being lied to with Julia. The show goes on as Devin displays his aptitude with calling plays, quarterback IQ, and throwing the routes under the stern observation of Coach Jack. As he speaks with Devin, he learns Devin actually has little to no experience calling plays, and worse, has a childish driving reason to want to be in the NFL. Jack has all but made his final decision to cut Devin, but Ross steps in, demanding Devin be the pick as despite his lower skill level, he would make for better television. Adding insult to injury, Ross brings up Devin's dead parents, Jack's firing from the NFL, and the contract he signed for the show. Conceding, Jack storms out, and as the final decision is rendered, Devin is chosen to be the Longshot. The next day, Jack gets straight to business, reviewing the tape on Devin's questionable final game, and reminding him they will be starting from scratch as Devin hasn't really played in over 3 years. Jack does his best to work fundamentals into Devin, but Ross is impatient for entertainment, setting up an exhibition game for Devin to play a central role in, far earlier than Jack thinks they are ready for. As Jack and Devin think about how to get ready in 2 short weeks, Julia arrives with Colt in tow, who agreed to leave the Super Regional Combine and join the show to help Devin out. Colt is a little quicker on the uptake, reading and calling plays, and helps Jack communicate to Devin the basics he needs to prepare. Devin struggles to cram, but Colt approaches Jack with a method that helped with Cam Newton in his rookie season for the Panthers. Combined with his personal knowledge of Devin's strengths and weaknesses, Colt's flexibility and core understanding helps formulate a simplified system custom for Devin at an effectiveness that impresses the veteran Jack. Unfortunately, after Ross strands Devin in a harsh press conference and reveals the opponents of the exhibition match are professional NFL players, Devin's confidence breaks. With Julia, they ask Ross to postpone the game, but hearing none of it, he fires them all. At the last moment, Jack comes in to talk to Devin, saying he needs to grow up and stop worrying about what other people think and, more importantly, not quit on himself. Regardless, Devin walks away and shoots down Colt's attempts to talk it over too. Back in Mathis, an upset Colt talks to Devin, telling him that ever since they were little he tried to support Devin, and now enough is enough of getting dragged into situations by him wherein Devin just does what he wants and throws it away, like with the Combine and with Longshot. Devin shoots back Colt will be nowhere without him, and catching him, Colt points out Devin once again tries to make it about himself. Colt reminds him that time after time, Devin has proven that when the going gets tough, he turns tail and runs, as the fight escalates and the two split off. Devin thinks again to his high school glory days when his dad was also the assistant coach, as that night there was a fundraising ceremony honoring the old team, and Colt approaches Devin to make amends first. Later, Julia finds them and wants them to help her not only get the show back on track, but away from Ross's control. She adds the exhibition match will be at the end of the season like it should have been, and Colt can rejoin the show too. Agreeing to those terms, they return to the studio, wherein Devin approaches Jack and apologizes, and Jack chooses to respond with a personal story. He shares how before he was fired from St. Louis, he bet his career on a rookie ace that got injured week 1 because of the plays Jack forced him into, and because both him and the kid were out of the NFL shortly after that, he always blamed the kid when later he admitted he was at fault. He then admits his reason for joining Longshot was to give his coaching career a comeback, but now remembers a coach's job is to serve his players, and he violated that when trying to push Devin to march to his drum. He now declares that if Devin will accept him as a coach, then he will do what it takes to see him succeed. Grateful, Devin agrees, as Julia, Jack, and Devin sit down with Ross and the show's executive to decide how to proceed. As the executive agrees, Ross's actions have been unacceptable, but Devin's sudden departure was uncalled for too. He asks for input from Devin, especially in regards to Ross, and Devin elects to have Julia take over the project while Ross is fired. Things get even better as Jack calls in one of his friends to assist, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Dan Marino. First player to have a 5,000-yard passing season, Dan Marino, helps Devin settle in and rediscover his love of the game, while Julia informs him the Legends game will be the final episode of the season right before the NFL draft. She also informs him the next episode has him playing on a military base, and Devin makes a personal request for it to be on the military base in Dubai. Reason being, it turns out Devin joined the military for a few years after leaving the University of Texas, as he is greeted by his former commanding officer, Captain McCarthy. He reveals he bonded with Devin while understanding the circumstances, as it turns out he was once a kicker for his university football team. They lost the Sugar Bowl with his 3 failed field goals, and he too was so overcome with shame by his teammates and fans. Like Devin, he also quit football and later went to the military, where he accepted he couldn't undo his own mistakes and would try to help others avoid making theirs. He then shows them the setup he made to help nurture Devin's love for football, and in a small throwing contest, Devin manages to edge out a win against the player with the most seasons leading the league in pass completions, Dan Marino. They play a special round of 7-on-7 with Devin leading one team, and again, he manages to sneak a win away from the first player with a 40-touchdown pass season, Dan Marino. Devin allows Captain McCarthy to kick the field goal winning point, much to everyone's cheer, and Colt makes a positive impression on a Sergeant Carrot. Back at the studio, Julie reveals Ross didn't really sign the NFL legends he promised, but he'll still be up against hungry former NFL players eager to get back into the league. On the bright side, former scout and coach Pat Kerwin extended an invite to Devin to come onto his show for an interview. Devin is nervous at the idea, but Julia reassures him this is as safe a point as any towards getting used to the media and confronting his past. As he agrees to the interview, Devin proves how much he's grown since those times, being heard on what choices and mistakes he made and why he made them, and also why that is now driving him forward alongside friends that support him. Speaking of, he goes to visit Colt, who is working on his new song titled Longshot, capturing their journey in song. As the Legends game finally arrives, Devin sees he is up against veterans like 2009 first-round draft pick Larry English, though is helped by 6-time NFL Pro Bowler Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Overcoming multiple specific challenges, Devin sees some folks still have not forgotten nor forgiven his time at UT, and make it clear. For one challenge, Jack makes it clear he cannot throw to Colt and prove to the scouts he can play without relying on his friends. For the final challenge, they deliberately set up the final pass situation Devin botched in his final college game, and thinking on the coaches that have helped him along the way, Devin gets out of his own head and puts down the demons that have haunted him for the past 4 years to make the right call this time. Recognizing this, the Longhorns fans in the crowd now cheer their approval as he has finally redeemed in their eyes, and he's even praised by the first player with 60,000 career passing yards, Dan Marino. Afterwards, though the reception by social media is mixed, some are positive about Devin, like Hall of Fame running back Barry Sanders, and some jabs from Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins and Redskins cornerback Josh Norman. Before heading back to Mathis, Jack speaks with Devin and lays it down straight that he's been speaking to other GMs, and despite the success of the show, at best, Devin is looking at 3rd or 4th string quarterback because some coaches don't want to deal with the distraction the show brings. Seeing the vehicle that brought him closer to where he wanted to be is also what has been holding him back. Devin still thanks Jack for all of his coaching and support during the downtimes. He thinks back to his father, who once said, "While you may not always win, if you play hard and give it all you've got, then you get to carry yourself like a winner." Time passes and it's now the 3rd day of the NFL draft, and as former head coach Bill Cowher figures it, later round drafts are where you get to see the kids with special stories get picked, and Devin has good odds here. 7 rounds in, Devin indeed gets drafted by the team of his choice, though Colt remains undrafted. Though he sympathizes with his friend, Devin is overjoyed with himself as Julia visits to congratulate him, and he thinks on his father again and revels in the victory. As the game ends, Devin is expected to start training camp as the 4th string quarterback of his NFL team. Colt will continue his musical interests, and his country smash single, Longshot, would hit top 10 in Finland, though he would still stay in NFL shape in case he got a call. Jack would sign on for season 2 of Longshot, where Julia continues as executive producer. Approaching his father's display case, Devin adds his team cap alongside his Longhorns cap, saying he could finally give him something to be proud of. Madden NFL 18 has enjoyed the success of selling over 4.5 million copies worldwide.